Nobody has the equipment that we have, and nobody has the military that we have, not even close. We're the most powerful military anywhere in the world by far. The flight crews and warfighters aboard those aircraft took extraordinary risks to rescue their fellow service members. This first wave of search and rescue forces successfully located the pilot of the F-15, and he was extracted from enemy territory by an HH-60 Jolly Green 2 helicopter. Fabulous machine as our warriors faced gunfire at very close range. It's amazing that when you look at the machinery, what happened, that nobody was even injured. Meanwhile, the second crew member, a weapons system officer, highly respected colonel, had landed a significant distance away from the pilot. When you're going at those speeds, even if you go out 2 or 3 seconds later, it's miles and miles away because you're going fast. He was injured quite badly and stranded in an area teeming with terrorists from the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps rough group, as well as besieged militia and local authorities. Many, on top of everything else, they told the communities actually within inside of Iran, the people of Iran, they were given a tremendous incentive to find this pilot. Despite the peril, the officer followed his training and climbed into the treacherous mountain terrain and started climbing toward a higher altitude, something they were trained to do in order to evade capture. They want to always go as far away from the site of the shoot down. You want to go as far away because they all head right to that site. You want to be as far away as you can. And he was injured, and he was an amazing, amazing thing. He scaled cliff faces, bleeding rather profusely, treated his own wounds, and contacted American forces to transmit his location. They have a very sophisticated beeper-type apparatus that is on them at all times. And when they go out on these missions, they make sure they have lots of battery space, and they're in good shape. And this one worked really well, amazingly, saved his life. We immediately mobilized a massive operation to retrieve him from the mountain holdout, and he kept going higher and higher. The mountain kept getting rougher and rougher, and really very, very hard to find. The second rescue mission involved 155 aircraft, including 4 bombers, 64 fighters, 48 refueling tankers, 13 rescue aircraft, and more. We were bringing them all over, and a lot of it was subterfuge. We wanted to have them think he was in a different location because they had a vast military force out there, thousands.
This is an ad for a free class on data science. And here's why I think this is something that you shouldn't miss. The data science market is booming, growing at 26% every year. And by 2026, India alone has approximately 11 million roles that require.
They've got groups here, they've got groups there. It's an amazing thing. I was listening to these great people, these great generals. General Raisin Kane was amazing, and Pete Hegseth was amazing. But I listened to the whole thing. It was pretty amazing. So they had all these different sites where everybody thought he was located. We think we have him over there because they have 9 planes circling a little area that's 25 miles down the coast. So in a breathtaking show of skill and precision, lethality and force, America's military descended on the area, the real area, engaged the enemy, rescued the stranded officer, destroyed all threats, and exited Iranian territory while taking no casualties of any kind. The heroic F-15 weapons system officer had evaded capture on the ground in Iran for almost 48 hours. That's a long time when you're in tough shape and when you're bleeding. It's a long time. When we left, as you probably know, we had 2 large planes, pretty old planes that carried a lot. We needed a lot more equipment going in than coming out, obviously, because going in, we needed to be able to scale mountains. and we had a lot of equipment. But the sand was sandy, wet sand, so we thought there may be a problem taking off because of the weight of the plane. And then we also had all the men jumping back onto the planes, and they got pretty well bogged down. And we had a contingency plan, which was unbelievable, where lighter, faster aircraft came in, and they took them out. We blew up the old planes. We blew them up to smithereens because we had equipment on the planes that, frankly, we'd like to take, but I don't think it was worthwhile spending another 4 hours there taking it off. So we didn't want anybody to have. We have the best equipment anywhere in the world. We didn't want anybody examining our anti-aircraft and other equipment. So these were large planes that were old and pretty old, and we blew them up. And we had faster, lighter planes come in, and they were able to land on the sand. We needed the bigger planes because we had so much equipment that we needed. We took 3 helicopters over there, which were very strongly used, and couldn't have lived without them. They did, and they performed unbelievably well. And if you'd see it, you wouldn't believe it. They came off the plane, and these guys had them. The rotors were off. They rebuilt these helicopters in less than 10 minutes. And that was one of the more amazing things. These are helicopters, small, unbelievably powerful, but small, very small, so it can get into certain areas. And they got them off the plane, and they rebuilt all 3 of them in a matter of less than 10 minutes. It's pretty amazing what the genius of these people. Who would think that? You'd think it would take 5 days to build them. And in some companies, it would take 5 days, and they wouldn't do it well. But they served us well. As Commander-in-Chief, I never forget the extraordinary risk taken by the warriors that we send into battle, and the genius. I mean, think of it, having a contingency of 3 planes waiting because we think the sand is so bad that we probably won't be able to take off. And the planes really got bogged. This was not much of a runway. This was a farm, not a runway. It's a farm, but it did the trick. But to have a contingency as opposed to having to wait 2 days, can you imagine, right in the middle? This was central. This was right, you would call it central casting if you were doing a movie for location. And probably the toughest area of Iran where we'd be sitting there. So these planes came in, those pilots came in so fast and so quick and got out of there. Everybody got aboard and just got 15-minute intervals. 1 load out, 1 load out, 1 load out. It happened, and we were watching, and we said, "That's amazing." It's in many ways, I was almost more impressed by the contingency that we had than the fact that if we would have had a runway or decent soil. But it was an amazing thing. But we thank God for every single one of them. And the talent, the genius is not even talent, it's genius. It's the whole ball game, every one of them. If you look at what we did with Maduro, we went into a military compound, a massive, with thousands and thousands of soldiers, and within a matter of minutes, and he lived behind iron doors. There were steel doors, broke them down so quickly, and within almost minutes, he was in the back of these planes. It was a similar group. Incredible. We have incredibly talented people. And if the time comes, we move heaven and earth to bring them home safely. We're going to bring our people home safely. I want to thank every member of the U.S. Armed Forces involved in these historic operations. They really were historic. It's just not something that's done. And you'd understand it. Not that they don't want to do it, but when you're going into areas, when you look at these helicopters, when you look at the amount of bullets and everything else that they took, when you go into these areas, you don't come out like we came out. God was watching us. I tell you, well, it was the Easter. We were in Easter territory, I guess, but God was watching us. Amazing, because when you look at the machinery, they took damage. It tells you. First thing I said is these are unbelievable machines. How they flew back and not even much of a problem. But these 2 extraordinary rescues, because it was 2, and as you probably know, we didn't talk about the first one for an hour. And then somebody leaked something, which we'll hopefully find that leaker. We're looking very hard to find that leaker. And talked about there's somebody missing. They basically said that We have one and there's somebody missing. Well, they didn't know there was somebody missing until this leaker gave the information. So whoever it was, we think we'll be able to find it out because we're going to go to the media company that released it and we're going to say, national security, give it up or go to jail. And we know who, and you know who we're talking about, because some things you can't do. Because when they did that, all of a sudden, the entire country of Iran knew that there was a pilot that was somewhere on their land that was fighting for his life. And it also made it much more difficult for the pilots and for the people going in to search for him. All of a sudden, they know that there's somebody out there. They see all these planes coming in. It became a much more difficult operation because a leaker leaked that we have one, we've rescued one, but there's another one out there that we're trying to get. So actually, the country, Iran, put out a major notice, you all saw it, offering a very big award for anybody that captures the pilot. So in addition to a hostile, very talented, very good, very evil military, we had millions of people trying to get an award. So when you add that to it, but we have to find that leaker because that's a sick person. Probably didn't realize the extent of how bad it was. I can't imagine that the person did, but we're going to find out. It's national security, and the person that did the story will go to jail if he doesn't say, and that doesn't last long, and I think everybody would understand it. They put this mission at great risk. They put that man at great risk, and they put the hundreds of people that went in looking for him, because everyone now knows that we're going in. Over the past 37 days, America's armed forces have carried out more than 10,000 combat flights over Iran, unheard of, striking more than 13,000 targets. The F-15 we lost last week was the first manned aircraft downed by the enemy in this entire operation with thousands and thousands of flights. They got lucky. It was a lucky hit. You know, eventually you get lucky. But we got lucky too because we got both of them back. But it's a record that is unparalleled in the history of military air operations. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. It's such an honor to be involved with it. We were up late at night, and then we were waiting for those contingent planes to come in, and we say, come on, let's go, get in, because they're waiting out on this farm without a runway, with wet, crummy soil, sand, mostly sand, wet sand, and it eats planes alive, and we're waiting, and we're saying, I hope that one can land and take off. And they came in like magic. Boom, 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 one after another. It was like genius. I'm so impressed by that. Because we were a little concerned. We said, boy, if they don't get in and get up fast, we're sitting in the... And that's called Iran Prime, right, General? That's where the whole bet is. And here we are sitting there waiting for a plane. But they came in so fast and so hard, and these guys knew exactly what to do. Let's go, come on, get in, let's go, blah. They came one right after another, not at the same time. They don't want to come at the same time. They had to come right after each other. They didn't have any room. There was barely any room to land. Tiny little patch of very wet earth and sand. So I'm so proud of the people that I have standing up here with me and many others that worked. I mean, so many. Steve Witkoff's over here. He's doing fantastically. Jared Kushner. But the people that are here, the job they did is amazing. And I think I'm going to introduce the head of the CIA. Talk about it. If you want, you can. I'm not sure he's supposed to. I'm not going to talk about it. But the CIA was very responsible for finding this little speck. It's like they used an expression on one of the shows. A general was talking about, it's like finding a needle in a haystack, finding this pilot. And the CIA was unbelievable. And you may, if you can, you'll talk. Responsible for finding this little speck. It's like put him in jail. They used an expression on one of the shows. The general was talking about. It's like finding a needle in a haystack, finding this pilot. And the CIA was unbelievable.
President.
And you may, if you can, you'll talk, it might be classified, in which
share
case
what
I'd
we
have to
can
put him in jail if he
about
talks
this
about it.
successful mission.
And I don't want to put him in jail.
Recognize
He
the
doesn't
innovation
deserve
and
that.
bravery
So, John, do you want to
those
say a
who
few words?
execute.
Thank you.
as well as the leadership and resolve.
Thank you, Mr. President.
of the President.
It's a privilege to be here with you today
One thing that has been
to share
clear
what
to
we
me in
can
this role is that
about
the
this exceptional
flawless
mission
military operations
and to recognize
of war
the
is known
ingenuity
for
and bravery of those who
hostage
executed it,
to flawless
as well as the leadership and
We saw that
resolve
in
of the
skies
President who
over
ordered
Iran
it.
in Operation Midnight Hammer
One
last
thing that has
summer,
been
we
clear to me in
witnessed
this
in
role is
Venezuela
that the flawless
during
military
Operation Absolute
operations
Resolve.
that the Department of War is
We've
known
seen it
for
against the cartels
are
in the Western
hostage
Hemisphere.
to flawless
We're seeing it
intelligence.
every day.
We saw that
Operation
in the
Epic
skies
Fury, including
over
this
Iran
mission
in Operation Midnight Hammer
rescue
last
an
summer. We
aviator
witnessed it in
buried
Venezuela
behind enemy lines.
during Operation Absolute Resolve.
Because it is
We've
the
seen it
unique
against the
tradition of
cartels
U.S. Armed
in the Western
Forces
Hemisphere,
that we leave no
and we're
man
seeing it every
or
day
woman behind.
in Operation Epic Fury,
This was a
including
no-fail
this mission
That was the
to
spirit in
rescue
which
an
the
aviator
President put us to
buried
work,
deep behind enemy lines.
and we were determined not to let him
Because
down.
it is the
or our
unique
airmen
tradition
down.
of the U.S. Armed Forces that
As
we
an
leave no
agency,
man or
the
woman
CIA
behind.
possesses unique
This was a
capabilities
no-fail
that only the
mission.
President can deploy.
That was the spirit in which the
Some
President
of
put
these
us to work,
capabilities fall under covert
and we were
action
determined
forces.
not to let him down
Because covert
or our
means
airmen
exactly
down.
that. I'm not
As an
going to be able to
agency,
tell you everything
the
you
CIA
want to know.
possesses unique capabilities that only the
At the
President
President's
can
direction,
deploy.
we deployed both human
Some of these
assets
capabilities fall
and
under
exquisite
covert action
technologies
authorities.
that no other
And because
intelligence
covert
service in the
means
world
exactly
possesses.
that,
To a daunting challenge.
I'm not going to be able to tell you everything that you want to know.
A single grain of sand.
At the President's
In the middle of
direction,
the desert.
we deployed both human
This was also a
assets
race against
and
the clock,
exquisite
as it was
technologies
critical
that no other
to
intelligence
locate the
service
downed
in the world
aviator as quickly
possesses
as possible.
to a daunting
While
challenge
at the same
comparable
time,
to hunting
keeping our
for a single
enemies
grain of sand
For
in the
that
middle of a
reason,
desert.
In addition,
This was
to the
also a
human
race
and
against the
technical
clock,
assets
as it was critical
deployed by the
that we
President to find
locate
our
the downed
airmen,
aviator as quickly as possible,
CIA executed a deception
while at the same time
to confuse
keeping
the
our
Iranians
enemies
who were
misdirected.
desperately hunting our
For that
enemies.
reason, in addition
Saturday morning,
to the human and
we
technical
achieved our
assets
primary objective
deployed by the
finding
President to find our airmen,
providing confirmation that one of
CIA
America's
executed a
best
deception
and bravest
campaign
was alive,
to confuse the Iranians,
concealed
who were
in a mountain
desperately
crevice.
hunting for our
still
airmen.
invisible to the enemy,
On Saturday morning,
not to the CIA.
we achieved our primary objective
That
by
confirmation was
finding
relayed
and providing
by Secretary
confirmation
Exit to
that
the
one of
President,
America's best and
the
bravest
operation quickly
was
moved
alive
to the execution
and
phase.
concealed in a mountain crevice,
Following the successful exfiltration
still invisible
on
to the
Saturday
enemy,
night,
but not to the CIA.
intelligence reflects that the Iranians
That
were
confirmation was
embarrassed
relayed
and ultimately
by Secretary
humiliated
Hexeth to the
by
President,
success of this
and the
audacious
operation quickly
rescue
moved
mission.
to the execution phase.
When the President asked
Following
me
the
to lead
successful
CIA,
exfiltration on Saturday
he made
night,
it clear, get back to basics,
our
no
intelligence
politics,
reflects that the
no
Iranians were
agendas,
embarrassed and
tackle the hardest
ultimately
problems,
humiliated
and
by the
execute
success
the
of this
toughest mission.
audacious rescue mission.
This President is about results.
When the President
Now,
asked me to lead the
That's what the
CIA,
CIA is about.
he made it clear, get back to
The
basics,
professionals
no
at the
politics,
agency
no
and the
agendas,
Department of War
tackle the hardest
deserve
problems,
immense credit
and execute
for their
the
flawless
toughest missions.
execution during during
This
mission.
President
Their
is
skill,
about results,
creativity, and
and
courage
now
are unmatched
that's what his
on
CIA
the
is about
battlefield
too.
wherever they step.
The professionals at the agency and
None
at
of
the
that
Department of
matters.
War deserve
All of
immense
that is
credit
wasted
for their flawless
without a president
execution during this
political
daring mission.
courage
Their skill,
to put them in
creativity, and courage are
Mr.
unmatched
President, I've
on
had
the
privilege
battlefield wherever they step.
of seeing you act with political courage and
But
the
none
best
of that
interests the
matters.
United States up close on a daily
And
basis.
all of that is
I'm grateful
wasted
that this successful
without a
mission
president
has
with the
given
political
American people
courage to put them into
window
action.
into that as well.
Mr. President,
The Secretary
I've had the
and Chairman
privilege
will tell you that our service
of
members
seeing you
confidence
act with
is
political
boosted
courage in the best
by
interest of the
Commander-in-Chief
United States up close on a
who
daily
has their
basis, and I'm
back
grateful
the
that this
same way
successful
they have
mission
yours.
has given the American
And I know
people
that the confidence of
a
CIA's
window into that
officers
as well.
is boosted by the
The
knowledge
Secretary
that
and
their
Chairman
work
will tell you that our
is
service
informing the
members'
President
confidence is
not
boosted
afraid
by a
to make the
Commander-in-Chief
hardest decisions
who has their back
when the stakes
the
are
same
high.
way they have yours.
And to the
And
American
I know
people,
that the confidence of CIA's officers
should be
is boosted by the knowledge
by
that
knowing that the
their
security of
work
the nation
is
is in
informing
the
a
hands of the
president
President
who's not afraid
willing to take on
to make the
problems
hardest decisions
confounded
when the stakes
both
are
sides of
highest.
the political aisle.
And to the American people, your
It is an honor
confidence
to serve
should
under
be
a leader
boosted
who just
by
proved
knowing that the security of the nation
believe
is in the hands of a
what he
president
says
who's willing to
matter
take on
what,
problems that have
will leave no one
confounded
behind.
both sides of the political aisle
come for you.
for nearly half a century. It is an honor to serve under a leader who just proved that you can believe him when he says, no matter
Well, John,
what,
thank you for the collaboration. The
we will
CIA
leave
is
no one
developed
behind.
an ongoing
We will come
partnership.
for you. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Americans, and especially the brave warriors in our armed forces, over this Easter weekend, the United States military has once again proved.
Well,
why
John,
we
thank you for the
possess
collaboration of the CIA
greatest
as well.
fighting force
Incredible
the world has ever
and
known.
ongoing partnership.
In two
Ladies and gentlemen, fellow
extraordinary
Americans, and
combat
especially
search
the
and
brave
rescue
warriors in our
operations
armed
deep
forces,
inside enemy territory
over this
in
Easter
Iran,
weekend,
our
the United
warriors
States
executed
military has
missions
once
of
again proved
breathtaking
why we possess
skill,
the
courage,
greatest fighting force the
and
world has
precision.
ever known.
When our warriors are
In two
unleashed, as
extraordinary
this president
combat
has allowed
search
them
and
to
rescue
be,
operations
they are
deep inside
unstoppable.
enemy territory in Iran,
When American airmen
our
were
warriors
down behind
executed
enemy lines,
missions
our
of
forces and our
breathtaking
president did
skill,
not hesitate.
courage,
Special
and
operators
precision.
supported by elite
When
air
our
crews and
warriors
intelligence
are
professionals
unleashed,
moved
as this
swiftly and
president has
decisively
allowed them
into
to be,
treacherous
they
mountain
are
terrain under the
unstoppable.
constant threat of
When
Iranian
American
forces
airmen were
closing
down
in.
behind enemy lines,
Ultimately,
our forces and
it
our
was
president did
impotent
not hesitate.
Iranian.
Special operators supported
today,
by
as the
elite
CIA
air crews and
director
intelligence
mentioned,
professionals
Iran's
moved
military,
swiftly
and we
and
know this,
decisively
is
into
embarrassed
treacherous mountain
and
terrain
humiliated.
under the
And they should
constant threat of Iranian
Now, these
forces
are not
closing in.
routine operations.
Ultimately,
They were high-risk,
it was an
high-stakes
impotent
missions conducted
Iranian
in the heart
threat.
of enemy territory.
And today,
This
as the
was not
CIA
just barely
director
into
mentioned,
Iran. This was
Iran's
deep
military,
into
and we
Iran,
know this, is
involving
embarrassed
coordinated strikes
and
to suppress
humiliated,
threats,
and they
deception
should be.
tactics to
So you
protect
just
our
mentioned that you
teams,
want to learn Python.
and full
So do not learn
synchronization
Python in
across
manual
air,
way in
ground,
2025
and
because
special
learning Python in manual way will
operations.
take
The
you like
Iranians
6
are
months
still
of your
asking
time. On top
themselves
of
right
that,
now,
you'll be
how
ultra
did
non-productive
the
in Python
Americans
because when
do
you
this?
use AI inside your Python, when you use AI
One
tools
downed
to
airman
do your Python
evaded
coding,
capture
you'll be
for more
saving
than a
upwards
day,
of 95% of your
scaling
time
rugged
while you're
bridges
coding,
while
while
hunted
you're debugging, while
by
you're
the enemy.
building web apps, and while you are scraping
When he was
apps,
finally
right? So
able
for
to
tackling the same
activate
problem, we
his
found like
emergency
10
transponder,
useful tools for day-to-day
first
Python
message
development and Python work.
was simple,
So we have developed
and
a
it was
program
powerful.
which is like absolutely beginner
He sent
friendly.
a
Even if you
message,
have zero knowledge
God
of Python, you can join
is
this
good.
program, and in 30 days you will be becoming pro
In
of
that
Python,
moment of
that also using
isolation
AI.
and
You will be
danger,
not
his
becoming a
faith
Python developer,
and
you will be
fighting
becoming a 10x
spirit
Python developer.
shown
And the best part,
through.
like
See,
we have democratized
shot
this
down
program
on a
through this
Friday,
30-day program. It's just for
Good
rupees
Friday.
199. Can you believe that?
hidden in a cave, a crevice, all of Saturday.
In that moment
And
of
rescued
isolation and danger, his
Sunday.
faith and fighting
Flown
spirit
out of Iran as the
shone
sun
through.
was
You see,
rising
shot
on
down on a Friday,
Easter Sunday.
Good Friday,
A pilot
hidden
reborn,
in a cave,
all home and
a
accounted
crevice,
for, a nation
all of Saturday,
rejoicing.
and rescued
God is good.
on Sunday. Flown
Despite
out of
incoming
Iran as the
fire
sun
and
was
unforgiving
rising on
conditions, our troops
Easter
brought
Sunday.
every American home.
A pilot
No American
reborn,
lives were lost.
all home and
No
accounted
man
for,
behind,
a nation
and that is not luck.
rejoicing.
It's the result
God
of unmatched
is
training,
good.
superior technology, and unbreakable
Despite incoming fire and
ethos
unforgiving
and
conditions,
sheer
our
American
troops brought
grit.
every American
Our
home.
special
No
operators,
American
pilots,
lives were
and
lost.
support crews
We leave no
performed
man
with
behind,
near perfection,
and that is not luck.
under fire.
It's
And
the result
they
of unmatched
were
training,
lethal.
superior technology,
Just
and
ask any
unbreakable
Iranian soldier
warrior
who
ethos,
dared attempt
and sheer
to get
American
anywhere near
grit.
that pilot
Our special
before or
operators,
during
pilots,
that
and support
mission.
crews
Death
performed with
from
near
above.
perfection under fire.
Our troops turned
and
potential
they
tragedy
were
into a
lethal.
resounding demonstration of American
Just ask
resolve
any
and
Iranian
capability.
soldier
That's
who
what
dared
excellence
attempt
in uniform
to get
looks like.
anywhere near that pilot before or
mistake
during
about it.
that mission.
None
Death
of this
from
would have been
above.
possible without the courageous leadership.
Our troops turned a
and
potential
ironclad
tragedy into a
determination
resounding demonstration of
of
American
President
resolve and
Donald J.
capability. That's what excellence in
From the
uniform
moment our
looks
airmen
like.
went down, President Trump made it clear.
But make
we
no
will
mistake
leave
about it.
No one.
None of
behind.
this
The first
would have been
mission,
possible
first of
without the
two,
courageous
was an
leadership and
audacious
ironclad
daylight
determination
thunder
of
run
President Donald
right
J.
up the middle.
Trump.
It was authorized in
From the
less
moment
than
our
2
airmen
hours
went
from
down,
that
President
pilot
Trump
going
made
down
it
when
clear
knew
we will leave
where
no
he was.
one behind. The first
And it was
mission,
authorized
the
in
first
middle
of
of the
two,
night.
was an
Anybody that's worked with this
audacious
man knows he's up in the middle of the
daylight
night.
thunder run
Authorized
right up the middle.
without hesitation.
It was authorized in less than 2
The
hours
second
from
mission,
that
as
pilot
soon as
going
we
down
knew
when
where
we
that
knew
pilot was,
where
John
he
certainly
was.
helpful in that.
And it was authorized in the
Also
middle of the night
executed
because
immediately.
anybody that's worked for
You
this
know, I
this
looked
man
up
knows
at
he's
my
up in the
screen
middle of
when
the
final
night.
mission was complete
Authorized
inside our
immediately,
CF, our
without
facility.
hesitation,
We
audaciously.
have a running VTC,
The second
running
mission, as soon as we knew
coordination
where
cell.
that pilot was, and
And the
John
top
was
of
certainly
it
helpful
read
in that,
45 minutes and
also
45
executed
hours
immediately.
and 56
You know, I looked up at my
minutes.
screen when the final mission
For
was
45
complete
hours
inside
and
our
56
SCIF, our
minutes,
secure
we held
facility.
that call open
And we have a
for
running
from the
VTC, a
moment
running
our pilots went
coordination
down, our
cell.
mission was
And the top of
unblinking.
it read
The call
45
never
minutes
dropped,
and
the meeting never
45
stopped,
hours
the planning
and
never
56
ceased.
minutes. For
President
45 hours
demanded
and 56
rapid,
minutes, we
decisive
held
action.
that
He
call
backed our
open for
military with the
coordination.
full
From
weight
the
of his
moment
resolve,
our
refusing
pilots
to
went
let
down,
enemy
our mission
propaganda
was
and tactical
unblinking.
setbacks deter us.
The call never
His
dropped,
leadership
the meeting never stopped,
ensured that
the
every
planning
lethal
never
and
ceased.
non-lethal resource was brought to
The
bear that
president
our
demanded
forces had the
rapid,
authority
decisive action. He
and the
backed our
support they
military
needed
with the full weight of his
to
resolve,
succeed. When the
refusing
president
to let
says he
enemy
has the backs
propaganda
of our
or
warfighters,
tactical setbacks
he means
deter
it.
us.
And he
His
means
leadership
a great deal and
ensured
it's a
that
big
every
difference on the
lethal
battlefield.
and non-lethal resource
President
was
Trump
brought to bear that
understands
our
that peace
forces
through
had the
strength
authorities
It's not a slogan.
and the support they needed
It is a
to
doctrine
succeed.
that
When the
saves
president says he
American
has the
lives.
backs of our
His unwavering
warfighters,
commitment to
he means
rebuilding
it.
our military
And it
and
means
restoring the
a
warrior
great deal,
spirit
and it's a
has
big
paid
difference on the
dividends
battlefield.
in missions just
President
like
Trump
this one.
understands that peace through strength
Under his command,
not a
America
slogan.
projects power with confidence.
It is a doctrine that
and brings our
saves
people
American
home
lives.
with
His unwavering
And that
commitment to
continues
rebuilding our
today, by
military
the
and
way.
restoring
Per
the
the
warrior
President's
spirit
direction, today will be
has
the
paid
largest volume of
dividends
strikes
in
since
missions
day one
just
of this
like this
operation.
one.
Tomorrow,
Under his
even more
command,
than today.
America projects power with
and Iran
confidence
has a choice.
and brings our people
Choose
home
wisely.
with victory.
Because this
And that
president
continues
does
today,
not
by the way.
play around.
Per the president's direction,
You can ask
today will be the
Soleimani.
largest volume of strikes
You
since
can ask
day one
Maduro.
of this
You
operation.
can ask
Tomorrow,
Khomeini.
even more than today.
To those heroes who
then
planned
Iran has a
executed
choice.
these rescues, your nation
Choose
stands
wisely.
in awe. I
Because
stand
this
in awe.
president
The chairman
does
stands in
not
awe. We all
play
stand
around.
in awe of your
You can ask
professionalism and
Soleimani.
bravery. We
You
serve
can ask
for you.
Maduro.
You
can
embody
ask
the very
Khomeini.
best of America. To the rescued
To
airmen
those
and their
heroes who
families,
planned and
welcome
executed
home.
these rescues, your nation
courage
stands
and
in awe.
endurance,
I
quiet
stand in awe.
declaration of
The chairman
faith
stands in awe. We
amid
all
the
stand in
storm
awe of your professionalism
inspires
and
us
bravery.
all. God
We serve
is
for you.
good.
You embody the very best of
And to our
America. To the rescued
adversaries
airmen and their
watching from
families,
Tehran,
welcome home.
Let this be a clear
Your
message.
courage and endurance,
The United
the quiet
States military
declaration
will
of
go
faith
anywhere,
amid the
at
storm
any time,
inspires
protect our
us
own.
all. God
complete
is
the mission.
good.
We
every day.
execute with precision.
And to our
We control
adversaries
the skies.
watching
So
from
we flew
Tehran,
for 7
let this be a
hours
clear message.
in daylight.
The United States
over
military
Iran to
will
get the
go
first
anywhere,
pilot.
at any
We flew
time,
7 hours
to protect
in the
our
middle
own
of the night to
and
get
complete the
second.
mission.
And
We
Iran
execute with
did
precision.
nothing
We control the skies. You see, we flew
We
for
fight with
7
honor under
hours
President Trump's leadership.
in daylight
win.
over
God bless our
Iran to get the
troops.
first pilot.
God bless President
And
Trump.
we flew 7 hours
bless the
in
United
the middle
States
of the night to get the second. And Iran did
Good afternoon,
nothing
everyone.
about it.
Thank you, Mr. President.
We fight with
Thank you,
honor,
Mr.
and under
Secretary.
President Trump's
I know
leadership,
before I start,
we win.
I know
So
many
God
of
bless
you
our
want
troops.
specific
God bless
details,
President Trump.
In these
And God bless
briefings.
the United States of
We'll
America.
share what
Thank you.
we can, but I will retain what I must. In
Well,
the
good
event
afternoon,
that we have to
everyone.
go do this again
Thank you, Mr.
sometime.
President. Thank you,
I
Mr.
cannot
Secretary.
stress
I know
the
before I
importance, as the
start,
President
I know
said,
many of you
around
want
operational
specific
security.
details
The Secretary
in
and I
these
will do a more
briefings.
detailed
We
briefing
will share
tomorrow
what we
morning,
can,
and we
but
look
I
forward to
will
sharing the
retain
details
what I
with you.
must in the event that
On
we have to
Thursday,
go
2
do this
April at
again
10:10
sometime.
p.m.
And I
Eastern
cannot
Time,
stress
4:40
the
in the
importance,
morning,
as the
local
President
Iran
said,
time.
around
The Joint
operational
Personnel
security.
Recovery Center
The
which
Secretary and I will
handles the
do a more
Central Command
detailed
area
briefing tomorrow morning,
responsibility.
and we look
Declared
forward to
an
sharing the
isolated
details that we
personnel
can.
recovery event for
On
U.S.
Thursday,
Air Force
2 April at
F-15E
10:10
Strike
p.m.
Eagle,
Eastern
call
Time,
sign
4:40 in the morning,
which was down
local
in
Iran
hostile
time,
Iranian
the Joint
territory.
Personnel
The
Recovery
pilot and
Center,
weapons
which handles
system
the Central
officer had
Command
both
area of
safely
responsibility,
ejected and were
declared an
isolated
isolated
behind enemy
personnel
lines.
recovery event
Following
for a U.S. Air
confirmation of
Force
active
F-15E
rescue
Strike
missions
Eagle,
and on the
call
direction
sign
of the
Dude
Secretary and by
44,
order of
which
the
was
President,
down in
a
hostile
rescue
Iranian
operation was
territory.
launched
The
with
pilot
the
and
stated
weapons
purpose
system
of
officer
bringing
had
both
both safely
Americans home
ejected
safely.
and were isolated
As the
behind
Secretary
enemy
said,
lines.
several
Following
hours later on the
confirmation
morning
of
after
active rescue
positively
beacons
locating
and on the
front
direction
seat
of the
of
Secretary and
call
by
sign
order
Dude
of the
44
President,
Alpha,
a rescue
and
operation
aware
was
of an
launched
aggressive
with the stated
ongoing
purpose
search
of
by the
bringing
enemy.
both
The
Americans
U.S.
home
Central Command
safely.
plan
As the
was
Secretary
approved by the
said,
Secretary and the
several
President.
hours later on the morning
Shortly
after
Shortly thereafter,
positively
U.S.
locating
Air
the
Force
front seater,
Combat
call
Search and
sign
Rescue
Dude
Task
44
Force,
Alpha,
comprised
and
of
aware
A-10
of an
Warthogs
aggressive
in their
ongoing
Sandy
search
role,
by
and
the
I'll
enemy,
describe what that
a
is in
U.S.
minute.
Central Command
HC-130
plan was
Combat
approved
King
by the
IIs,
Secretary and the President.
HH-60 Jolly
Shortly
Green II
thereafter, a
helicopters,
U.S. Air
and
Force Combat
Special
Search and
Warfare
Rescue
Airmen,
Task Force,
a package
comprised of A-10
combat rescue
Warthogs
officers
in their
and
Sandy
pararescue
role, and I'll
operators,
describe what that is in a minute.
audaciously
HC-130
enemy
Combat
territory
King IIs,
in broad daylight
HH-60 Jolly
to
Green II
find,
helicopters,
fix, and recover
and Air Force
Dude
Special
44 Alpha
Warfare
from
Airmen,
behind enemy
a
lines.
package comprised of combat
This
rescue
was an
officers
incredibly
and pararescueman
dangerous
operators,
mission.
audaciously
An
penetrated
incredibly
enemy
dangerous
territory in
undertaking,
broad
but
daylight
a filled
to find,
promise
fix,
made to
and
every
recover
American
Dude
warfighter
44
that
Alpha
you
from
will
behind
not
enemy
be left
lines.
behind. We will
This
always
was an
come
incredibly
find you, and we will
dangerous
always bring you
mission,
home.
an
Over
incredibly
the next hours, the
dangerous
search and rescue
undertaking,
task force
but a
crossed the
filled
beach,
promise
entered
made
into
to
Iranian
every American
airspace,
warfighter
protected by
that
a
you will
fighter
not
strike
be left
package,
behind.
and moved
We will
into the
always
objective area,
come
all
find
under
you,
fire.
and we will always
En route,
bring
as
you
some of
home.
you have seen on
Over the
social
next
media,
hours, the Search and
helicopters
Rescue
took
Task
gas
Force
off
crossed the
C-130s
beach,
and
entered
pressed
into Iranian
onward and forward
airspace,
up into the
protected
objective
by
area.
a fighter strike
While this
package,
was
and
ongoing
moved
and
into
out
the
in front of
objective
them,
area,
the
all
Sandy
under
flight
fire.
of A-10s
En
and
route,
other
as some of you have
remotely
seen
piloted
on
aircraft,
social media,
drones, and
the
other
helicopters
tactical
took gas
aircraft
off the
were violently
C-130s
suppressing
and pressed
and
onward
engaging
and
the
forward
enemy
up
in a
into the
close-in
objective area.
gunfight to keep them
While this
away
was
from the front
ongoing
seater
and out in front
allow
of them, the
pickup
Sandy
force
flight of
to get
A-10s
into the
and other
objective area.
remotely piloted
During
aircraft,
this
drones,
engagement, one
and
of the
other
Sandy
tactical aircraft
the one
were violently
primarily
suppressing
responsible for
and engaging the
communicating with
enemy
the downed
in a
pilot,
close-in gunfight to
was
keep
hit
them
by
away
enemy fire.
from the front seater
This pilot
and allow the
continued to
pickup
fight,
force to get
continued the
into the
mission,
objective
and
area.
then upon exit,
During this
flew his
engagement, one of the
aircraft into
Sandy
another
aircraft,
country
the
and
one
determined
primarily
that the
responsible
airplane
for
was not
communicating
landable.
with the
This
downed
was one of our
pilot,
A-10 Sandy
was hit
aircraft.
by enemy fire.
The pilot then made the
This pilot
decision
continued to
eject
fight,
over friendly
continued the
territory
mission,
and was
and then
quickly and
upon
safely
exit,
recovered
flew his
and was
aircraft
doing
into
fine.
another country and
After
determined
picking
that the
up,
airplane was
Dude
not
44
landable.
Alpha,
This was one of our
the
A-10
HH-60
Sandy
Jolly
aircraft.
Green fight
The pilot
was
then made the
engaged by
decision
every
to
single
eject
person
over
in
friendly
Iran who had a
territory
small
and
armed
was quickly
weapon.
and
And one of
safely
the
recovered
aircraft,
and
the
is doing
trailing
fine.
aircraft, took several hits.
After
The
picking
crew
up
sustained minor
Dude
injury,
44
and they are
Alpha,
going to be
the
fine.
HH-60 Jolly
note
Green
for
fight
those of
was
you that do
engaged
not
by
know
every
what a
single
Sandy
person in
does.
Iran who had a
Named
small
after the
arms
flight call
weapon.
sign that did
And one of
this
the
very
aircraft,
mission
the
in
trailing
Vietnam,
aircraft,
flying
took several
A-1
hits.
Sky
The
Raiders
crew
and
sustained minor
A-7
injury,
Corsairs.
and they are going to be
Sandy
fine.
has one
A
mission.
note for those
Get
of you that
to
do
the
not know
survivor,
what a
bring
Sandy
the
does.
rescue force forward,
Named after the
and
flight
put
call sign that
themselves
did this
between
very
that
mission
survivor on
in
the
Vietnam,
ground
flying
and the enemy.
A-1 Sky Raiders
They are
and
committed to
A-7
this.
Corsairs.
This is what
A
they live
Sandy
for,
has
and this
one
is what
mission.
they've trained for
Get
over
to
many,
the survivor,
many
bring
years.
the rescue force
The A-10
forward,
force
and put
and the rescue
themselves
force
between
did
that
fantastic-
survivor on the
did a
ground
fantastic
and the
job
enemy.
rescuing
They are
Dude
committed to
44
this. This is what they live
was
for,
recovered
and
Friday
this is what
afternoon.
they've trained for
As I
over
said,
many,
and the
many
nation needs to know
years.
this.
The
This was an
A-10 force
incredibly
and the
brave
rescue
and
force
courageous
did
mission,
fantastic,
and a
did a
testament to the
fantastic
courage,
job rescuing
skill,
Dude 44
and
Alpha.
tenacity of the joint
He was
force
recovered
and
Friday
our
afternoon.
leaders. And especially
As I
a
said,
daylight
and the
option,
nation needs to
having
know
the guts
this.
to try
This was an
means so
incredibly
much to so
brave
many.
and courageous mission,
Meanwhile,
and
the
a testament
backseater,
to the
as the
courage,
President and the Secretary
skill,
have said,
and
has
tenacity
continued
of
to
the
work
joint
and
force
survive.
and our leaders.
Through the
And
hours of
especially
daylight,
a
Dude
daylight
44
option,
Bravo,
having the guts to
backseater,
try
evaded,
means so much to so
using
many.
every means available.
Meanwhile, the
efforts of the United
backseater,
States
as the
military,
President and the
Central
Secretary have
Intelligence
said,
Agency, and
had
others
continued to
were
work
attempting to
and
find
survive.
and locate with
Through the hours
precision
of daylight, Dude 44 Bravo, the backseater,
A note
evaded,
on the
using
backseater
every means
and the front
available.
seater.
The efforts of the
The
United States
single
military,
most
the Central Intelligence
important
Agency, and
contributor
others
to a
were attempting to
successful
find
rescue
and
operation
locate with
is the
precision
spirit of
Dude
attack
44
inside
Bravo,
heart
the
of that
backseater.
downed aviator.
A note
Their
on
will to
the
survive,
backseater
their
and the
will
front
to
seater.
evade,
The
their will to
single
recover
most
is everything.
important contributor
case, the
to a
backseater's
successful
absolute
rescue
commitment to
operation
surviving
is the
made
spirit of
much of our
attack
efforts
inside the
possible.
heart of that downed
On
aviator.
Saturday,
Their
4
will
April,
to
after
survive,
establishing
their will
positive
to evade,
communications with
their
the
will
backseater,
to recover
we learned,
is
as the
everything.
President said,
In this
that he
case,
was
the
injured
backseater's
and actively
absolute
evading
commitment to
enemy
surviving
forces.
made
And
much
thanks
of
to
our efforts
interagency
possible.
partners we were able
on
to get
Saturday,
eyes on his
4 April,
location
after
and
establishing
positively
positive
ID him.
communications
Throughout
with the
this entire
backseater,
time, the
we
enemy
learned, as
force
the president
continued to
said,
search for
that he was
4-4
injured
Bravo,
and
the
actively
joint force
evading
continued
enemy
to strike
forces.
them over
And thanks to our
and over and
interagency
over
partners, we were able to
Fighting
get
off
eyes on
marginal
his
weather in
location
Iran
and
and
positively
the enemy's
ID
search
him.
for a second
Throughout
time
this
on
entire
Saturday,
time, the enemy
at the
force continued to
recommendation
search
of
for
CENTCOM
4-4
commander and at the
Bravo,
approval of
and
the
the joint
Secretary and the
force
President,
continued to
we
strike
launched
them
a rescue
over
task
and
force to
over
recover
and over again.
Dude 4-4 Bravo.
Fighting off marginal
Again,
weather in
this
Iran
came to the
and
President
the
and the
enemy's
Secretary
search
for
for a
approval.
second time
This
on
time with a
Saturday
much larger
at the
force
recommendation of
package based
CENTCOM
on the
commander and
time
at the
that the
approval
enemy
of the
had
Secretary and the
prepared to
President,
find
we
4-4
launched a
Bravo.
rescue task force to
Again,
recover
this
Dude
force was
4-4 Bravo.
protected by A-10
Again, this
Warthogs
came to the
using
President
Sandy
and the
call sign.
Secretary for
And this
approval,
force
this time
had
with a
one
much
single mission:
larger force
do
package
everything
based on
they
the
can
time
to
that the
bring
enemy
an
had
American
to
home.
prepare to find
This meant
4-4
having a
Bravo.
plan, being
Again,
prepared to
this
execute
force
that
was
plan,
protected by
and,
A-10
more
Warthogs
importantly,
using the Sandy
being
call sign.
prepared for
And this
multiple
force had one single
simultaneous
mission:
contingencies.
do everything
And because
they
of this
can to
force's
bring an American home.
professionalism, grit,
This meant
and
having a plan,
determination,
being
fight off
prepared
two
to
enemies
execute
at
that
the same
plan,
time.
and,
The enemy
more
searching for
importantly,
4-4 Bravo
being prepared for
and
multiple
contingencies, which
simultaneous
anyone who has done these types
contingencies.
of missions
And
knows
because of this
we
force's
run into
professionalism,
every single
grit,
time.
and determination,
force fought off
fight
both
off
of
two
those
enemies
enemies
at the same
incredibly
time.
well.
The enemy
During the
searching for
period of darkness
4-4
on
Bravo
Saturday,
and
and as the Secretary
contingencies,
said,
which
into
anyone
Easter
who has done
Sunday
these types
and
of missions
into the
knows
daylight,
we
the
run
force
into
fought its way
every
in
single
and
time.
rescued Dude
The
4-4
force fought
Bravo.
off both of those
They were
enemies
protected
incredibly well.
overhead by an
During the
air
period of
armada,
darkness on
including
Saturday,
tactical drones,
and as the Secretary
strike
said,
aircraft,
into
and
Easter
others.
Sunday and
The force
into the
fought through
daylight,
multiple
the force fought its
simultaneous
way in
contingencies,
and rescued
something
Dude
no
4-4 Bravo.
other nation, no other
They were
military
protected
can do.
overhead by an air
And
armada,
safely
including
returned Dude
tactical
4-4
drones,
Bravo, the backseater
strike
of
aircraft, and others.
And
The force
all other
fought through
Americans
multiple
home as
simultaneous contingencies,
midnight, 12
something no
local
other
Eastern
nation,
time,
no other
Easter
military
Sunday,
can
more
do,
than 50 hours
and safely
after the
return
start
Dude
of this
4-4 Bravo,
operation,
the backseater,
the
home.
Joint Personnel
And
Recovery
all
Center
other
declared
Americans
Dude
home
4-4
as well.
Bravo, both the front
At midnight,
and
12
backseater
local
returned to
Eastern
friendly
time,
territory.
Easter Sunday,
The
more than
courage
50 hours
demonstrated by both
after the
pilot
start
and
of
the
this
weapons
operation,
system officer while isolated,
the Joint
and
Personnel
them invading the
Recovery
enemy
Center
cannot
declared
be
Dude
overstated.
4-4 Bravo,
Their
both the
grit
front
and
and
warfighting
backseater,
tenacity is a
returned to
direct
friendly
result of
territory.
the absolute trust they
The
have in our
courage
rescue
demonstrated
forces,
by both
their
the pilot
training,
and the
their
weapons
will
system
to
officer
survive
while
and return.
isolated,
They
and them
always
invading
knew
the
that
enemy
we would be
cannot
ordered
be
to go
overstated.
get them,
Their
and they
grit
always
and
knew
warfighting
that we would be
tenacity
coming
is
to
a
get them.
direct result of
These
the
two
absolute trust they
operations
have in our
reflect our
rescue
nation's
forces,
most sacred
their training,
obligation to
and
our
their will
military
to
service
survive and
members.
return.
We leave
They
no one
always
behind,
knew
bless you.
that we would be
It also
ordered to go
perfectly
get them,
captures
and they
the
always
first
knew
truth
that
of
we
our
would be
special
coming to get
operations
them.
forces,
These two
that
operations
people are more
reflect our
important
nation's
than
most
hardware.
sacred obligation
That
to
is
our
the
military
standard we live
service
by,
members.
and the
We
rescue
leave no
forces
one
that
behind,
execute
bless you.
these missions
It also
operate
perfectly
under-
captures
under a
the
clear
first
motto.
truth of our
These
special
things we
operations
do
forces,
that others
that
may
people
live.
are more
Their
important
actions
than
were a
hardware.
direct
That is the
embodiment
standard
of
we
that
live by,
commitment to others,
and the rescue
and I
forces
could
that
not
execute
be
these
more
missions
proud of
operate
each
under
and
a
every
clear
one of them
motto.
today.
These things
As the
we
Secretary
do
said to our
that
enemies,
others
this
may live.
operation serves
Their
as a
actions
clear
were a
reminder
direct
of the
embodiment
capability
of that
and will
commitment
of
to
America's
others,
joint
and I
force.
could not
The United
be
States
more
of America will
proud
recover our
of each
warfighters
and every
anywhere
one of
in the
them
world,
today.
under any conditions.
As the Secretary
when we
said to
want
our enemies, this
We will always
operation
bring overwhelming
serves as a
skill and
clear
firepower.
reminder of
To
the
every member of the
capability
joint
and
force,
will of
our
America's joint
interagency
force.
partners,
The United
leadership
States of
at
America will
CENTCOM,
recover
and
our
leaders at the
warfighters
department and
anywhere in the
above.
world
Thank you.
under
I'm
any
proud of each
conditions
and every one of
when
you,
we want
and
to.
thankful
We
to
will
our
always bring
deployed
overwhelming
forces
skill and
and their
firepower.
families.
To every member
And
of the Joint
lastly,
Force,
and most
our interagency
importantly,
partners,
to Dude
the leadership
4-4,
at CENTCOM,
welcome
and our
home.
leaders at the
Job well
department
done.
and above, thank you. I'm proud of each and and every one of you and thankful to our deployed forces and their families. And lastly,
these two
and
gentlemen
most
have been-
importantly, to Dude 44,
they've been
welcome home.
perfecto.
Job well
Got
done.
to know-
Thank you.
General Kane in my first term because he was able to take out ISIS
Pretty amazing.
in 4 weeks instead
Pretty
of the
amazing.
4-year projection.
And these two gentlemen have been,
By other, much lesser
from day
generals.
one,
I said,
they've
if I ever
been
do this again,
perfecto. You know, I
that's
got
gonna
to
be the
know
head of my Joint Chiefs of Staff.
General Kane in my first term because he was able to take out ISIS in 4 weeks instead of the 4-year
4
projection
weeks.
that was given to me by other much lesser
Iraq.
generals. I said, you know, if I ever
Find out
do
with
this
the greatest
again,
equipment in the
that's going to
world.
be the head of my
Why?
Joint Chiefs of
Takes 4
Staff.
years.
And we worked it that way, didn't we? He's amazing. He took out ISIS. We defeated ISIS in 4 weeks. I was told it would take 4 years. I flew to Iraq
All I
to
can
find out
say
with the
is
greatest
that,
equipment
he
in the
was
world.
treated very
Why
unfairly.
would it take 4 years?
Now those same people that treated
And he
him
told me,
unfairly, that
"Sir."
fought against him, that called me up,
Wait,
said, what
I
a
need you to
great
show me how
choice
to
he
convert
was.
a Word doc to a PDF again.
I said, well,
Seriously,
what happened during his
You know, it'd be
nomination?
faster if I used Scribe to show you how to do it.
People that were not for him,
Just sent you a
senators,
step-by-step guide.
friends
Whoa,
of mine, sir, I
how'd you
don't
make
think
this?
you're doing the
I
right
just downloaded
thing.
Scribe,
Now they call
clicked
me up.
start,
What a choice.
went through the steps, and Scribe
These two guys are
automatically
fantastic.
generated a
And
step-by-step
John
guide
Ratcliffe
with
is-
screenshots and written
was actually
instructions.
there.
Okay, I guess there's-
Genius.
Should start
that
using Scribe for everything?
called us.
Agreed. Try Scribe for your step-by-step guides and work smarter,
He
not
said, you know,
later.
we're seeing
Had to
something
call me
moving
up.
up
What
on
a
the mountain.
choice.
This is at
These
night.
two guys are fantastic. And John Ratcliffe was incredible. It was actually their genius that called us from, it was 40 miles away. And he said, you know, we're seeing something moving up in the mountain. This is at night. And they kept the camera on him for 45 minutes. It wasn't moving. And they said, you know, probably wrong, but we're seeing something moving. This is a vast mountain,
45 minutes later,
vast,
he moved a lot.
thick, with bushes, trees. He said, we see something moving 40 miles away.
The beginning
It
of
was,
something incredible. We had
The head of a
where he
human
was,
being,
but
I'm telling you,
not
it's
specifically.
moving.
It's a big mountain.
And then all of a sudden,
So,
45 minutes later, he moved a lot.
I want to thank the CIA too. I don't think they
Stood
get
up,
enough credit.
and they stood, we have him.
The great job. they've
And that
done.
was really the beginning of something incredible. We had an idea where he was, but not specifically. And it's a big mountain.
Country it has
So,
super army. You make
I want to thank the CIA too. I don't think they get enough credit for the great job they've
I
done.
have
Yes,
two
please.
quick questions, Mr. President. Thank you very much, Mr. President, for this great opportunity. Country it has super army. You make a difference, Mr. President. Thank you for your greatest leadership.
Thank you.
I have two quick questions, Mr. President. What was your reaction when you learned that Kurdistan region had resumed exporting oil to the international market with your support as United States of America?
Well, I expected that. We've gotten along with the Kurds for
Well, they
a
should
long
do
time,
it,
so
but
I
again,
expected
the
that.
consequences are great.
Another question, what
If you
would
protest, you will
what
be
would
shot
be your
immediately.
reaction
You saw what happened
if
to
the
young
Iranian people
wrestler. He was a great
rise
champion,
up
by the way.
against
He was
their
great wrestler
regime
at the top.
during a ceasefire, Mr.
He
President?
and his two
Well, they
friends
should
were
do
hung.
it, but again, the consequences are great. I mean, they were told you, if you protest, you will be shot immediately. You saw what happened to the young wrestler. He was a great champion, by the way. He was a great wrestler, one of the top in the world. And he and his two friends were hung. And all they did was say a little bit about liberty. They wanted liberty, and they were violently executed. But the numbers up to probably 45,000 people were killed. So, you know, when somebody stays in a house, when they know if they walk out of the house to protest, they'll be immediately shot and killed. And they issued that, you know, that was publicly issued. It's not a secret. That's why so many people say, oh, well, why are you doing this way? We can't let Iran have a nuclear weapon. You know, we got regime change. We do. We deal with a much different regime than before. We're dealing with different people. They're smarter. I think they're sharper and far less radical. We have regime change, but we didn't do this for regime change. We did it for the fact, and my view was very simple. I saw somebody said, oh, he doesn't have a plan. I have the best plan of all, but I'm not going to tell you what my plan is. You know, they want me to say, here's my plan. We're going to attack at 9:47 in the morning, and then we're going to do this, and then we're going to, and if you don't do that, they say, I have a plan. These people know what the plan is. Everybody here knows what the plan is. But it's very unfair to say, because I don't mind being insulted. I've been insulted for many years by the fake news, but you can't
it's so bad for the people that are so pro. You just saw two great and John Ratcliffe, three unbelievable people. They have a plan. Every single thing has been thought out by all of us. But I can't reveal the plan to the media. So, you know, but we're just thrilled by the success of this operation. Yes, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. You've said Iranians would be mad if you stopped these attacks, but why would they want you to blow up their infrastructure, to cut off their power? Wouldn't that be punishing Iranians for the actions of the regime?
They would be willing to, and it's suffering, they would be willing to suffer that in order to have freedom. The Iranians have, and we've had numerous intercepts. Please keep bombing. Bombs that are dropping near their homes. Please keep bombing. Do it. And these are people that are living where the bombs are exploding. And when we leave and we're not hitting those areas, they're saying, please come back, come back, come back. These are the people. Remember the great woman protest? I don't know what they do. All I can tell you is they want freedom. They have lived in a world that you know nothing about. It's a violent, horrible world where if you protest, you are shot. Remember the great woman protest where they had 400,000, 500,000 women, and they were all enthused and they were going to protest, and everybody said, oh, the regime's going to come to an end. And then all of a sudden, boom, boom, 5, 6 different areas. A woman would go down right between the eyes. They had snipers. They had 5 snipers. That's all it took. And those 400,000 or 500,000 women said, oh my God, what's that? Oh, look over there. What's that? A woman shot right between the eyes. And after 5 or 6 of them go down, then you start hearing the purr through the vast number of people. The Persian people. And then they said, oh my God, who would do that? And they're incredible people. But they've lived so horribly. They've lived so horribly. You know, Iran was a great country if you go back 25 years ago or so. The Persian people, they're incredible, smart, brilliant actually. And I know so many. I know coming from New York, originally I know so many people from Iran. They're incredible people, incredible energy and very, very brilliant people. But when you're standing in a group and protesting and you have a woman, in the case of the woman, remember the Great Woman March, everybody was saying, oh, this is the end of the country. And then snipers selectively picked. Every single one was shot right between the eyes from a long distance. They were on top of buildings. Nobody even knew where they were. Where they coming from? This wasn't like a machine gun, which is also very bad. They've done that too. They did that recently. This was snipers sitting on the top of buildings, aiming and hitting women. And when they see people go down, and all of a sudden there's a riot in the reverse direction, and they never came out again. And a lot of the news doesn't talk about that. They talk about, oh, women's rights. You want to see women's rights? You're not going to see it there. It's amazing when I see some of the stupid people like, you know, AOC plus 3, all that group. They talk about, oh, freedom for Iran. They don't tell you the real facts. Women, men, gays. How about gays for Iran? They kill the gays. They throw them off buildings. So I wonder what's going on. I can only say this. They want us to keep bombing, even if it jeopardizes, because their life is in much greater danger. They want freedom for Iran, but it's very hard for them to protest. I actually tell them, I said, don't go out. I fully understand. Nobody in this room would go out. I don't think there's any, because frankly, it's not a question of bravery. We're all brave, right? You're brave, I'm brave, we're all brave. But we're also intelligent. If you have people shooting at you, expert shots with the best rifles you can get, and hitting you right between the eyes every single time, and you're looking here and you're seeing and you're looking here, you're out of there. I don't care who it is. Please.
Mark Meredith, Fox News.
I know that.
Oh, thank you.
How would I know that? Go ahead.
America's watching. Can we go back to the weekend? First off, was everyone on board with the operation, or were there people that were trying to talk you out of going through with the operation this weekend?
Not everybody was on board.
Somebody else within
No, there were military people, very professional, that preferred not doing it. These two were totally on board, which was very important. They weren't, I would have had a little difficulty. But no, there were military people that said you just don't do this. You don't go into the heart of a very powerful military. You know, this is, hey, you have countries and countries. You have some countries where military is not their strong suit. This whole thing is militarized like nobody's ever seen before. Half the people are wearing uniforms. Hundreds of thousands of soldiers. And we had people within the military.
Look at some of the helicopters.
Usually it's not done. That's one of the reasons. You know, I was surprised. Somebody said it's the only time it's ever been done. I said, that's not possible. But it is possible. Because you're going into hundreds of thousands of soldiers along the path. I mean, look at some of the helicopters, how they
But I will tell you,
got hit.
the number.
So yeah, there were people within the military that said it's a wise. And don't forget, how many men did you send altogether?
Is he central? Is he central casting?
To the operation?
But
I'd love to keep that a secret.
Okay, well, we but I will tell you, the number, I'll keep it a secret, but it was hundreds and hundreds of these people. That's pretty good. Is he central casting? But hundreds of people went into this journey. Hundreds of people could have been killed. Forget about the equipment, a lot of equipment, nobody cares. Hundreds of people could have been killed. So we had people that were within the military that said this is not a wise, and I understood that, but I decided to do it.
Was there a point that they were going to, that you were thinking there's too much on the line, and somebody was saying maybe we abort this now and wait? I mean, given the resource like the general said, it seemed like there was so much on the line here. You must have been thinking this could have completely changed.
So the first one, which was in many ways as dangerous as the second, I guess it gets, because we're flying over daylight. You know, we're the best at the world at night. We have goggles that nobody. We have goggles. I've tried them. Unbelievable. I see better with the goggles at night than I see without them during daylight. I mean, daylight today, we have a beautiful day. You see just as well with goggles. In many ways, it's enhanced.
I was told.
So we have the best in the world. So it's much safer for us to do it at night, whereas other people, no other country has that capability. They don't have that particular piece of equipment like we do.
We took out their anti-aircraft, which is great. We took out their radar, which is great. We took out a lot.
In daylight, I think we flew 7.
What hit this one was a handheld shoulder missile, heat-seeking missile. So it's not like, you know, they're totally whatever. And they probably.
We took out their radar, which is great. We took out a lot, but they still have. You know, what hit this one was a handheld shoulder missile, heat-seeking missile. So it's not like, you know, they're totally whatever.
Dangerous mission. They didn't say it's a foolish mission. They said, you know, we're going to be sacrificing hundreds of people. Do this. This is, I mean, you have tankers that are flying over this area so that because the flight was so long, they had to refuel. It's a very dangerous mission. I just felt it was worth it. If you would have told me that we would have been successful, gotten both, and nobody was even essentially injured, I would have said that would be impossible. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
I'll come back to you.
Okay, thank you.
Given that you are now dealing, you say, with a more reasonable...
we would have been successful, gotten both, and nobody was even...
Iran, what does that mean for the protesters, for the human rights movement in that country?
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
I'll come back.
Okay, thank you.
Given that you are now dealing, you say, with a more reasonable...
Positive, a big step. I don't think you'd see the radicalization that you have seen in the last. Look what happened. I mean, women are being executed because they're not. Yeah, if they assume control, if we do something and they assume control, I think it's very positive, a big step. I don't think you'd see the radicalization that you have seen in the last. Look what happened. I mean, women are being executed because they're not properly clothed, they say. They're not properly clothed, and they execute the women. They shoot them right on the street.
Mr. Witkoff is here.
No, you have a much different group of people. Now, I'm not saying we are dealing with them. Essentially, they have till 8 o'clock tomorrow night, Eastern Time. But we are dealing with them. I think it's going well. Mr. Witkoff is here. JD's involved in the dealing. Mr. Witkoff is sitting right here, and I think it's going fine, but we'll have to see. You have to understand, we've been dealing with these people for 47 years. I'm standing here with a much more powerful
7
Iran,
presidents, a lot of
as of a
presidents.
month ago, not anymore.
those
Right now, they
presidents
are
are saying now,
decapitated.
every one
But
of them
I'm
to their
standing
friends,
here a month ago
"We should
with a
have done
much
this a long time
more
ago."
powerful
So
Iran
it's
than it
not
was at
something I
any
like
point
doing.
during 47
It's
years.
very dangerous, and we're
This should have
getting
been
them at the
handled
height
by
of
7
this
presidents, a
If
lot
I
of
didn't
presidents.
terminate the Barack
And those
Hussein
presidents
Obama
are saying now,
Iran
every
nuclear
one of
deal,
them to their friends,
they would have had.
we should have done
don't
this a
forget, that
long
was the
time
path
ago.
to a nuclear weapon.
So it's
Remember
not
this.
something I like doing.
He chose
It's very
Iran
dangerous,
over
and we're getting them
Israel.
at the height
Pure and simple.
of their
How
strength.
it-
If I
how
didn't
Israel can
terminate
vote
the
for a
Barack
Democrat
Hussein
is,
Obama
if you're
Iran
Jewish
nuclear
in
deal,
New York City,
they would have
or
had.
anyplace
Don't forget,
else
that
in
was the
this country,
path to a
and how
nuclear
you
weapon.
can
Remember
vote
this.
for a
He
Democrat
chose
is
Iran
because
over
he
Israel.
chose
Pure and simple.
Iran, a
how
very hostile
how
Iran.
Israel
Remember
can
when he
vote
filled
for a
up the
Democrat is
757 with
if you're
cash,
Jewish
billions
in
of
New York
dollars of
City
cash.
or
And
any place
senators
else
of
in this country,
And they
and how
gave
you
them
can
tens
vote
of billions of
for a
dollars.
Democrat is
He
unbelievable
chose
because
Iran over
he chose
Israel. And really the
Iran,
Arab
a
world,
very
you know,
hostile
because,
Iran.
you know,
Remember
the
when he filled up the
Saudi Arabia,
757 with
Qatar,
cash,
UAE.
billions of dollars of
I mean, you
cash,
take a look.
and
I
he
mean,
sent
I
it
can
over
add
to them.
Kuwait, and I
Then
can
they
add
gave
Bahrain,
them tens of billions
and
of
you can add
dollars.
others.
He
He
chose
chose
Iran over
Such an
Israel
unlikely
and really the
candidate.
Arab world. If you
Nobody
look,
could
because
believe it.
you know
Frankly,
the
they're
other
gonna choose
Saudi
between
Arabia,
Iraq,
Qatar,
Iran, he should have
UAE.
chosen- he should
I mean,
have
you take a look. I mean, I can add Kuwait
Correct.
and I can
He
add
went in the
Bahrain,
exact
and you can add others.
opposite direction
He
of
chose
all thinking.
such an
And made a
unlikely
terrible mistake.
candidate.
But that was
Nobody
a
could
road
believe it.
to
Frankly,
a
if you're going to
nuclear
choose
weapon.
between Iraq
and when I terminated
and Iran,
that,
he should have chosen.
everyone
He
said,
should
"Oh, he
have
terminated it."
befriended
It was one of the
Iraq.
best things
He
we ever
went
did, 'cause
in
he
the
had a road to a
exact
nuclear weapon. And
opposite direction
It was gonna- it was
of
a
all
very
thinking.
short-term deal.
And he made a
You know,
terrible
countries
mistake.
don't do
But that
10-year
was a
deals.
road
Countries do
to a
hundreds of
nuclear
years.
weapon.
You don't
And
do
when I
10 years.
terminated
For a
that,
country, you need- this
everyone
isn't-
said, "Oh, he
you're a
terminated
landlord,
it."
you're
It
renting
was
a
one of the
store
best
on-
things we ever did
on
because he had a
certain
road to a
street,
nuclear weapon.
and you give
And
somebody a 5-year or 10-year.
it was going to. It was a very short-term deal.
was a
You
short-term
know, countries
deal.
don't do
It was
10-year
ready to
deals.
expire.
Countries do
I
hundreds of
terminated
years.
it before it
You don't do a
expired.
10-year
Took a lot
deal.
of
For a
heat,
country, you
and it
need.
was
This
one of the best
isn't.
things I ever did,
You're a
because he
landlord.
would've had
You're
a
renting a
nuclear weapon.
store
Then he
on
would have had another
on a
nuclear
certain
weapon.
street,
Had
and you
those
give somebody a
beautiful
5-year or
B-2
10-year
bombers
lease.
not
This is
gone
a
in 8
country.
months ago,
It was a short-term
and
deal.
obliterated
It was
that
ready
site.
to
And by the
expire.
way, the word is
I terminated
obliteration.
it before it
CNN
expired.
said,
Took a lot of heat,
well, maybe
and it was one of the best
complete.
things
It
I
was
ever
so
did because
complete
he would have
that
had
they
a
still
nuclear
haven't
weapon.
been
Then he
able
would
to
have
get
had
it.
another
It was
nuclear weapon.
obliteration. But
Had those beautiful
if we
B-2
didn't hit
bombers
them,
not gone in
that
8
was a
months ago
courageous decision,
and
too, because we had all
obliterated
those
that
planes
site. And by the
flying
way,
at
the
night
word is obliteration.
very
CNN
little
said,
cover, unbelievable
well, maybe it
stealth
wasn't
planes.
complete. It was so
And they were
complete
able
that
to
they
do
still
their
haven't
job.
been able to get it.
If we didn't do
It was
that,
obliteration.
Iran
But
would have had
if we didn't hit
nuclear
them,
weapon
that was a
at a high
courageous
level.
decision too,
Either
because
one
we
of
had all
two
those planes
instances.
flying in at
If
night.
they did, in my
with
opinion,
very little
I told
cover,
this to
unbelievable
Bibi Netanyahu
stealth
yesterday,
planes, and they were able to do
Israel
their job.
would have been
If we
extinguished.
didn't do that, Iran would have
Large
had
portions of the
a
Middle
nuclear
East
weapon
would have been
at a high level,
extinguished, whether it's
either
Saudi
one of those
Arabia,
two instances.
Qatar,
And if they
UAE,
did,
or others.
in my
And you
opinion,
saw
I
that
told
with
this to Bibi
thousands of missiles
Netanyahu
raining
yesterday,
down upon them. They didn't think they were
Israel
gonna be hit.
would have
They
been
thought they'd be
extinguished.
watching us fight. And all of a
Large
sudden,
portions
UAE
of the
got hit
Middle
by
East
1,500
would have been
missiles.
extinguished, whether it's Saudi
It would have taken
Arabia,
them out also.
Qatar, UAE,
And they
or
were
others.
powerful.
And you saw that
If
with
I
thousands
didn't
of
come
missiles
along
raining down
and
upon them. They
terminate
didn't
the
think they were
Obama
going to
deal,
be hit.
which was
They
terrible.
thought they'd
The
be
Iran
watching
nuclear
us
deal was
fight. And all of a
road
sudden,
to
UAE
a
got hit by
nuclear weapon, a big one,
1,500
unlimited,
missiles.
legally.
He would have taken them out also.
Terminated it without
And they were
even much
powerful.
thought. It was so easy.
If I didn't come
I
along
terminated that,
and
and then
terminate
the
the
B-2
Obama
bombers.
deal, which was
And I
terrible,
did one
the
other
Iran
thing.
nuclear
I had
deal was
killed
a road to a nuclear
Qasem
weapon, a big one,
Soleimani,
unlimited,
who
legally.
was an evil genius.
I terminated it without
And the reason I
even
did
much
it, I
thought.
heard
It
he
was so
gonna knock
easy.
out 5 of our
I terminated that,
military
and then the
bases.
B-2 bombers,
And
and I did one other thing. I
he
had
lived,
killed
I believe we would be fighting
Qassem
perhaps
Soleimani, who was an evil genius.
because
And the
he's
reason
never,
I did it, I heard he was going to
he's
knock
never
out
been replaced,
5
you
of
know?
our
And I also,
military
one other, but
bases.
this one was not picked up.
And
Osama bin
had he
Laden.
lived, I believe we would
You
be
read my
fighting
book. I said you got to take
perhaps
him out
a
1 year
different
before the World Trade Center.
Iran right now, because
You should read the book. But you, as a president, to be a good president, I believe you have to have good instincts, and a lot of this is instinct. Yeah, please.
Thank you so much for taking my question today, Mr. President. Mr.
Yeah, go ahead,
President, last week you said suggested that Europe should take the lead on reopening the Strait of Hormuz. Has circumstances changed now that you're issuing a direct 48-hour ultimatum? And secondly, would a new ceasefire include Israel, or would it just be between Iran? Last week you suggested that Europe should take the lead on reopening the Strait of Hormuz. Has circumstances changed now that you're issuing a direct 48-hour ultimatum? And secondly, would a new ceasefire include Israel, or would it just be between Iran
I can't
and
talk
US?
about ceasefire, but I can tell you that we have a active, willing participant on the other side. They would like to be able to make a deal. I can't say any more than that. But they'd like to do it.
You've listed the goals. Excuse me.
Please, go ahead.
You've listed the goals.
Who you with? Who you with?
My name is Diakurda. I'm with the largest Kurdish media outlet, Ruda Media Network. It's based in Iran.
Go ahead.
Mr. President, you said before that you don't want the Kurdish forces to enter Iran and be harmed. Do you still want them to stay away, or what role do you expect them to play now?
I'd rather have them stay away. I'd rather have them stay away because I think they bring with them some problems and some difficulties. And I don't think they bring death, to themselves. But I'd rather have them stay away. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President, for the question. Deliberate attacks on civilian infrastructure violate the Geneva Conventions and international law.
Who you with?
I'm with the New York Times. Zolan from the New York Times. Are you
failing?
Are you concerned?
Circulation way down at the New York Times.
Are you concerned that your threat to bomb power plants and bridges amount to
No, not at all. No, I'm not. I hope I don't have to do it. But again, I just said 47 years they've been negotiating with these people. They're great negotiators, and because they're not going to have a nuclear weapon. And if somebody that takes my place someday is weak and ineffective, which possibly that will happen because we had numerous presidents that were weak, ineffective, and afraid of Iran, we're never going to let Iran have a nuclear weapon. And if you think it's okay for people that are sick of mind, that are tough, smart, and sick, really sick, from a policy standpoint, from a any which way you want to say, mentally, these are disturbed people. If you think I'm going to allow them, and powerful and rich, to have a nuclear weapon, you can tell your friends at the New York Times, not going to happen.
That means violating
Quiet. You no longer have credibility at the New York Times. Because the New York Times said, Trump won't win the election, and I won in a landslide. I won every swing state. New York Times said, Trump won't win the election. New York Times has no credibility. The credibility they have is it used to be all the news that's fit to print. The old gray lady, it was great, but they're running on past fumes, and you can't keep doing that. You have to be able to give the correct news. And people like you, who I know, are fake. You're fake. Go ahead, please. I don't know.
Your messaging on the war has moved from the war is coming to an end to we're going to be bombing Iran to the Stone Ages. And we've heard a range of those kind of messages. So which is it? Are you winding this down? Or are you escalating
I can't tell you. I don't know. I can't tell you. Depends what they do. This is a critical period. They have a period of, till tomorrow at 8 o'clock. I gave them an extension. They asked for an extension of 7 days, right? I said, Steve, give them 10 days.
I can tell you they're negotiating.
10 days is up actually today, so I gave them 11, I guess, indirectly. I thought it was inappropriate the day after Easter. I want to be a nice person. They have till tomorrow. Now, we'll see what happens. I can tell you they're negotiating, we think, in good faith. We're going to find out. We're getting the help of some incredible countries that want this to be ended because it affects them also. A lot of people are affected by this. But we're giving them till tomorrow, 8 o'clock Eastern Time. And after that, they're going to have no bridges. They're going to have no power plants.
I would say it's a very
Stone Ages, yeah. Stone Ages. CNN fake news.
Are you willing to make a deal that does not include reopening the Strait of Hormuz, or is that now a top priority?
I would say it's a very big priority because See, that's one thing that's a little different than other things. We can bomb the hell out of them. We can knock them out for a loop. But to close the strait, all you need is one terrorist that somehow has a truck loaded with, because you can carry them in trucks, large trucks, a water mine, drop them in the water, and now you tell people that own ships that cost $1 billion to don't worry about the mine. You can do that even just by saying we put mines in the water. So it's not like the rest. We can knock out their military. We already have. We've knocked out their Navy. We've knocked out their Air Force completely. We've knocked out 158 ships in 3 days. We've knocked out even their mine droppers. They don't have any mine droppers anymore, but they put them on other boats, and they could drop them. I'm not even sure they have any mines there, by the way. I'm not sure. I'm personally, they say there might be 8. I don't know. I think there might be none. Because they're very good bullshit artists. That's why for 47 years they've been bullshitting other presidents, and they haven't done the job. And people are living in hell. You live in that country, they're living in hell. No, I think that 47 years of this stuff is long enough. They're at the weakest point they've ever been. They have no Navy, they have no Air Force, they have no anti-aircraft weaponry, they have no radar, they have no communication. In fact, the biggest problem we have in our negotiation is that they can't communicate. I said to Steve, what are they saying? Sir, they can't communicate. They have no method of communication. So we're communicating like they used to communicate 2,000 years ago with children, bringing a note back and forth. They have no communication. But all I want to see is I want to have a safe world, and you're not going to have a safe world. Israel will be gone. The Middle East will be gone, and then they're coming for Europe. And I have to tell you, I'm very disappointed in NATO. Very. I think that NATO, I think it's a mark on NATO that will never disappear. Never disappear in my mind. You know, they're coming to see me on Wednesday. They're going to say, oh, we'll do this, we'll do that. Now they all of a sudden want to send things, you know.
Help after we win.
But they said it loud and clear at the beginning when I spoke to UK of all. I would have said they would have been there first because they're the oldest. And I say, yeah, I'd love to have a little help. He said, no, sir, we'd rather wait till you win. I said, I don't need help after we win. They have 2 old broken aircraft carriers, barely work. I said, I guess we can use them. Who the hell knows? I called the general. He didn't even want them. He said, we don't really need them. We got the SS Abraham Lincoln, sir. We don't need them. You know, we have, in terms of technology, we had one day 101 missiles going at 2,700 miles an hour, aimed at the Abraham Lincoln.
But 10 years ago, that wouldn't have been
101 missiles. Out of 101 missiles, 101 missiles were shot down.
That's not that far off.
Unbelievable technology. 10 years ago, 5 years ago, I don't know if that would have been possible. But 10 years ago, that wouldn't have been possible.
We have weaponry.
101 missiles heading to a ship. That's not that far off. Because
go ahead, please.
And out of the 101 missiles, we shot down all 101. We have weaponry. The Patriots are unbelievable. We have weaponry. That's unbelievable. Yeah. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. You said earlier today during the egg roll that you would like to take Iran's oil, but Americans want U.S. forces home.
Correct.
What's that trade-off?
If I had my choice, yeah, because I'm a businessman first. With Venezuela,
hundreds of millions.
As you know, the war was over in about 45 minutes.
Over 100 million barrels.
And we have great people running Venezuela, very good people. I mean, the relationship is good. And we are a partner with Venezuela.
Many times.
And we've taken hundreds of millions of barrels, hundreds of millions. Over 100 million barrels already is in Houston, refined and out.
And I've said,
and paid for that war many times over, many times over. You know, the old days, to the victim.
Probably in 100 years.
Okay, you know that.
You look at the Second World War.
To the winner belong the spoils. Go the spoils. And I've said, why don't we use it? To the victor, go the spoils. And we don't have that. We haven't had that in this country probably in 100 years, because even the Second World War, you look at the Second World War, we didn't have it with the Second World War. We helped rebuild all those countries. We rebuilt Germany. How about Germany telling us, that, well, it's not their war. We had nothing to do. They wanted me to go and tell them everything I was doing.
Hundreds of years.
We didn't know anything about it.
Now,
Well,
with
if I would have
Venezuela,
told them, they would have leaked it, and we wouldn't have been nearly as successful, possibly, right? But to the victor belong the spoils. So we haven't heard that in, I think, maybe hundreds of years. Now with Venezuela, and we, just so you understand, the people of Venezuela, they say if I ran for president of Venezuela, I'm polling higher than anybody has ever polled in Venezuela. So after I'm finished with this, I can go to Venezuela. I will quickly learn Spanish. It won't take too long. I'm good at language. And I will go to Venezuela. I'm going to run for president. But we're very happy with the president-elect that we have right now. The people that are running it.
Those generals,
if you remember Bush
got together,
with
the
Iraq,
police got together,
they fired the generals, they fired the police, they fired the people that worked in there, equivalent of the White House. They fired everybody. And you know what they had? They had a mess. And you know what happened? ISIS formed. Those generals and those soldiers got together, the police got together, they all got together, they formed ISIS. It's not going to happen with us. So Venezuela has been an incredible situation. We went in, we were very successful, military power like nobody's ever seen. The general, Venezuelan general said, I was on that site, I said, I've never seen ferocity like that. I've been doing this for 40 years, he said, I've never seen it. They hit us from 17 different, they were all set. They saw that big, beautiful aircraft carrier, the Ford in that case, and planes were pouring off it at 1 o'clock in the morning. So typically, when you see that late at night, you know, you could be in trouble.
And they came
right?
at 17 different angles.
We were all ready. They had their equipment. It was Russian. And they had Chinese equipment. It was all set. They were going to give us a fight.
It was over.
He said, and then they came.
We were waiting.
And they came at speeds like we've never seen. And they came at 17 different angles. The general and his people, that was a lot of angles.
Nothing happened.
They hit him from every angle. He said, we knew it was over.
And he said, we knew
in 3 minutes. We were waiting for him. Their equipment didn't work. And there's a reason it didn't work. Someday we'll explain that to people. They pressed the button. Nothing happened. They pressed it again and again. Nothing happened. And he said, we knew this whole thing was over in 3 minutes. We've never seen any. He used the word ferocity. The ferocity of these planes from 17 different angles. And it was over. They went inside.
And I'll tell you
and remember, that was on a military base with thousands of soldiers. And those soldiers looked and they said, get the hell out of here. Thousands. We didn't have thousands. We had like 200 people. So we have a great military, and I'll tell you what, somehow this rescue captured the world's attention, more so than normally. You're talking about two people, but this rescue captured the world's attention. But we did it in Venezuela. That was amazing, and now we have a very bad man in prison and going to trial. I mean, he released, aside from the drugs, which he was terrible, Maduro released hundreds of thousands of people from jails into our country. Drug dealers, murderers, the worst people in the world were released into our country because we had a stupid president who probably didn't know, and we had a border czar who never went to the border.
How are we doing?
And never once called our great border patrol agents, right? Not once, Kamala. She never called the border patrol. She never said, how are we doing? I used to call the border patrol guys every day. You can ask them, Paul, ask any one of them.
So maybe one or two more and we'll be done.
All the time. How are we doing? How are we doing? And we now, I'm proud to say, have a totally sealed border. 9 months, nobody is coming through our border. And nobody even tries because they know they're not going to get through. So we don't have caravans anymore. Right. So maybe one or two more and we'll be done.
Mr. President, are you allowed to, or are you willing to end this conflict with Iran charging tolls for passage through the strait?
The only thing they have is
us charging tolls?
Oh, we're going to drop a couple of.
What about us charging tolls?
Is that something you're considering?
I'd rather do that than let them have them, right? Why shouldn't we? We're the winner. We won.
Your question
militarily defeated.
Your question would have been.
The only thing they have is the psychology of, oh, we're going to drop a couple of mines in the water. All right. No, we have a concept where we'll charge tolls. Okay? I thought you meant us. Your question would have been more accurate if you said us. Go ahead.
So just to clarify, in order for Iran to
meet or deadline tomorrow. Do they have to make a deal, open the strait, or both?
We have to have a deal that's acceptable to me. And part of that deal is going to be, we want free traffic of oil and everything else.
President, thank you very much. You've said glory be to God in this conflict. Do you believe that God supports the United States' actions in this
I do,
war?
because
And have you
God
sought
is
his
good,
direction?
because God is good, and God wants to see people taken care of. God doesn't like what's happening. I don't like what's happening. Everyone says, I don't enjoy this. I don't enjoy it. These two guys don't enjoy it. You know, people say, oh boy, they're so tough. I don't like seeing people killed. I've ended 8 wars. No. Nobody's ever done it. The person who won the Nobel Prize came to me and said, you deserve the Nobel Prize. She announced that when they announced, they said,
where the Prime Minister of
Costa Maria,
Pakistan
she's a
said
great
President
person,
Trump
really a good person.
saved from 30
She said,
to 50
no,
million lives.
this is ridiculous.
That makes me much
They gave me
happier
the Nobel
than what we're
Prize.
doing
President
right
Trump ended 8
That
wars.
makes me
I could
much
go over
happier.
every
We
one
have
of them,
one more to
including
end, by the
India
way.
and Pakistan, where the Prime Minister of Pakistan said President Trump saved from 30 to 50 million lives. That makes me much happier than what we're doing right now. That makes me much happier. We have one more to end, by the
President, you called yesterday in your Truth Social, you called the Iranians crazy
Our
bastards.
country is being ripped off.
What is your response to critics who say that
I don't care about critics.
What is your response to critics who say that it is your mental health that should perhaps be examined as this war continues?
I haven't heard that. But if that's the case, you're going to have more people like me, because our country was being ripped off on trade, on everything, for many years until I came along. So if that's the case, you're going to have more people.
We have very little is off limits in Iran as far as targeting,
Yeah.
including power plants, bridges. You've mentioned those.
Very little is off limits.
Are there certain kinds of civilian targets, though? I'm thinking schools,
I don't want to tell you
hospitals
that.
you
I don't want to tell you that. We have a plan because of the power of our military,
Never to be used again.
where every bridge
complete
in
demolition
Iran
by 12
will be
o'clock.
decimated
And it'll happen over a period
by
of
12
4
o'clock
hours if we
tomorrow
wanted to.
night,
We don't
where every
want that to
power
happen.
plant
We may even
in
get
Iran will
involved
be
with helping
out of
them
business,
rebuild their
burning,
nation.
exploding,
you know
and
what?
never
If
to
that's
be
the
used
case,
again.
the
I
last
mean,
thing we wanna do
complete
is start with
demolition
power plants, which
by
are
12
one of the most
o'clock.
expensive
And
things
it'll
on
happen over a
bridges.
period of 4
You saw
hours
the
if we
bridge,
wanted
the bridge
to.
one.
We don't want
We were
that to
very
happen.
close to a deal.
We may even get
I
involved
got a
with
call
helping
from
them rebuild their nation.
Whitcock.
And you know what? If that's the case, the last thing we want to do is start with power plants, which are among the most expensive thing, and bridges. You saw the bridge, the bridge one.
Don't worry about
We
it.
were very close
Tell
to a
them to
deal.
Look out their window and
And then
watch.
I got a
within
call from
45
Mr.
minutes. I gave the order to knock out the biggest bridge. I gave
बादल
the order
जैसे
to knock
light
out
light
the biggest
एकदम
bridge
fresh
in,
और active
I
लग रहा हूँ,
believe, the Middle
इसका
East, but
राज
the
है।
biggest bridge in Iran.
कब से
And
रातों
within
रात राहत
10
Thank you,
minutes
झंडू
after I
नित्यम।
gave that order, that
जी हाँ,
bridge was
93% उपभोक्ताओं
was
को
over.
झंडू नित्यम से मिला
So, do I want to do that? No. Do I want to destroy their infrastructure? No. It will take them 100 years to rebuild. Right now, if we left today, it would take them 20 years to rebuild their country, and it would never be as good as it was. And the only way they're going to be able to rebuild their country is to utilize the genius of the United States of America. 20 years to rebuild their country, and it would never be as good as it was. And the only way they're going to be able to rebuild their country is to utilize the genius of the United States of America.
You voiced your displeasure with NATO in the past. Is there a danger to the U.S. not being the de facto of the leader of the alliance, and then other powers within the alliance then getting the decision making when it comes to wars and nuclear weapons?
No, it's not a danger. NATO's, look, we went to NATO.
Putin's afraid of us.
I didn't ask very strongly. I just said, hey, if you want to help, great. No, we will not help. I said, that's all right. You don't want to help? Because I've always said NATO's a paper tiger. See, NATO is a paper tiger.
We didn't need them, by the way.
Putin's not afraid of NATO. Putin's afraid of us, very afraid of us. And he's explained it to me a lot of times. I got to know him very well. I know him very well. NATO's a paper tiger. NATO is us.
It's not just NATO.
And when we needed them, we didn't need them, by the way.
Didn't help us.
We didn't
You
need
know who else
them,
didn't help us?
obviously, because they haven't helped at all.
Didn't help
Just
us.
the
You know who else
opposite.
didn't
They've
help
actually
us?
gone out of their way not to
Japan.
help. They didn't even want to give us
We've got
landing
50,000
strips.
soldiers in Japan.
Think of it. And it's not
Protect
just
them from
NATO.
North
You know who
Korea.
else didn't
We
help
have
us? South Korea
45,000
didn't help
soldiers in
us.
South
You know who else didn't help us? Australia
us from
didn't help us. You
Kim
know who else
Jong-un,
didn't
who
help
I
us?
get along with very well,
Japan.
You notice he said very nice
We've got
things about me. He used to
50,000
call
soldiers in Japan
Joe Biden a
to
mentally
protect them
retarded
from
person.
North Korea. We have
Don't tell me about
45,000 soldiers in
yourself.
South Korea
Joe Biden, he said he's a
to
mentally
protect
retarded
us from
person. He was so
Kim
nasty to
Jong-un, who
Joe
I
Biden.
get along with very well, as you
to
know.
me,
Do you
he
notice he said very nice things about me? He used to call
how nice things are with
Joe
us.
Biden a mentally retarded person.
We have 45,000
So
people.
don't tell me about
soldiers
your stuff.
in harm's way.
Joe Biden, he said he's a
Right next to
mentally
Kim Jong-un
retarded
with a lot
person.
of
He was so
nuclear
nasty to Joe Biden. It was
45
terrible.
which should have
But to
never
me, he
happened.
likes Trump.
If
And
a
you
certain
notice how
president-
nice
I'm not gonna
things are
mention
with
this
North Korea. It's
president,
very
I happen
nice.
to like him, believe it
But
or
we
not.
have 45,000
But if a certain
people,
president did his job,
soldiers,
Kim
in
Jong-un
harm's
would
way,
not have
in,
nuclear weapons.
right next to Kim
But they're
Jong-un
all
with a lot of
afraid to do
nuclear
their job
weapons.
properly.
45,
But
which
just to
should have never
conclude,
happened
and just to finish,
if a certain president, I'm not going to
Japan
mention
didn't
this
help
president
us,
because I happen to
Australia
like him,
didn't help
believe it or
us,
not.
South Korea
But if a
didn't
certain
help us,
president did his
and then
job,
you get to NATO, NATO
Kim
didn't
Jong-un
help
would
us.
not have nuclear
There were
weapons
some
right now.
countries
But
that
they were
did.
all
Now,
afraid to do their
countries
job
that have been
properly.
good, now you could also say
But just to
they're
conclude
gotta
and
be a
just to
little bit more
finish,
involved because they're in the territory.
Japan
Saudi
didn't help
Arabia's
us,
been excellent.
Australia didn't help
Qatar's
us,
been
South
excellent.
Korea didn't help us,
UAE has been excellent.
and then you get to NATO, NATO
Bahrain,
didn't help
Kuwait.
us.
I mean, Kuwait
There were
did
some
shoot down
countries that
3 of
did.
our
Now,
planes.
countries
The
that
only
have been
planes
good,
really
now you could
that we
also
lost
say
were
they're got to be a little
friendly
bit
fire,
more
they call
involved
it.
because
I
they're in
call
the
it unfriendly
territory.
fire.
But Saudi Arabia has been
They
excellent.
unfortunately didn't know how
Qatar
to
has been
use
excellent.
our
UAE has been
great
excellent.
Patriots.
Bahrain, Kuwait. I mean, Kuwait
Pilots
did
said,
shoot
"What
down
kind of a
3 of our
missile's
planes.
coming at us? Patriot."
The only planes
Boom,
really
they
that
got
we
out.
lost with
Because
friendly
they know
fire, they
Patriot
call
never
it.
misses.
I call it unfriendly
So
fire.
they had beautiful Patriots.
They unfortunately
There were
didn't know
planes
how to
heading in their
use our
direction.
great
Unfortunately, They
Patriots.
decided to shoot those planes. They were
The
our
pilot
planes.
said, "What kind of
So,
a missile's coming at us?" Patriot. Boom.
No,
they got
NATO
out
is a paper tiger.
because they know
Now,
a Patriot
he's coming
never
to
misses.
see me on Wednesday
So they
as
had
well. He's a
beautiful
wonderful
Patriots. There were planes
Secretary
heading in their
General's
direction.
And
Unfortunately,
Mark Rutte.
they decided to shoot
He's a
those
great
planes. They
person,
were our
but
planes. So
He's good. And you know, it all began with.
no, NATO is a paper tiger. Now he's
We
coming
want
to see me on Wednesday, as you know. He's a wonderful guy.
Bye bye.
Secretary General is great.
Thank you very much, everybody.
And Mark Rutte. He's a great person, but he's good. And you know, it all began with, if you want to know the truth, Greenland. We want Greenland. They don't want to give it to us, and I said, bye-bye. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
What about rising gas prices for Americans?
It's a great honor to be with you.
GTC News. खबर तो
Happy Easter. We had a great Easter. This is one of